As a project manager, we need to learn, acquire, and develop some skills and techniques to ensure project's success. There are many techniques required in a project. There are most common or used techniques, and one of this is data analysis techniques. Data analysis tools give perspective to the raw project data, which helps the project manager make decisions on the project. There are 27 identified data analysis techniques we need to know to manage our project better. Alternatives analysis. Assessment of other risk parameters. Assumption and constraint analysis. Cost of quality, COQ. Cost-benefit analysis, CBA. Decision tree analysis. Document analysis. Earned value analysis, EVA. Influence diagrams. Iteration burndown chart. Make or buy analysis. Performance reviews. Process analysis. Proposal evaluation. Regression analysis. Reserve analysis. Risk data quality assessment. Risk probability and impact assessment. Root cause analysis. Sensitivity analysis. Simulation. Stakeholder analysis. SWOT analysis. Technical performance analysis. Trend analysis. Variance analysis. What-if scenario analysis. Alternatives analysis. Most of the decisions can be arrived at by identifying alternative approaches to solve the problem. Alternatives give us the opportunity to weigh in pros and cons and choose the ones that solve the problem most effectively. Assessment of other risk parameters. This technique is used only in one process. It is in perform qualitative risk analysis. In essence, this technique is about analyzing other parameters than just the probability and impact of a risk. Assumption and constraint analysis. This again is one-off technique that is used only in identify risks process. As a project manager, of course, we can make use of this wherever it makes sense to. Every project works under certain constraints. And no plan has 100% certainty, and so they are made under certain assumptions. Both these, constraints and assumptions, are made during project plan and project estimates. Cost of quality, COQ. This is an important technique to analyze the cost of quality activities, both of doing and not doing right set of activities. Cost of quality consists of cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Cost of conformance can be either prevention costs. This is the cost of activities required to prevent defects and failures getting into the product as it is developed. Or appraisal costs. This is the cost of activities conducted to test whether the product adheres to the agreed upon quality standards and requirements. Cost of non-conformance can be either internal failure costs. Costs associated with fixing the deliverables after defects are found internally by the testing team. Or external failure costs. Costs associated with repercussions after defects are found by the customer. This is the most expensive type of cost, both tangible and intangible. Cost-benefit analysis, CBA. Cost-benefit analysis is a way of evaluating alternative options to identify one that has the least amount of cost while providing the best way to achieve the benefits. This technique can be used to solve different problems such as choosing the best way to test a product, choosing the best risk mitigation strategy, choosing the best project among different opportunities, and so on. Benefits minus costs is equals to net present value, NPV. If NPV is positive, then the undertaking is a profitable one, and if it is negative, then it is an unprofitable one. Decision tree analysis. This is a data analysis technique that is used to find the best among several alternative scenarios. Best in terms of meeting project objectives. Most effective decision path is calculated based on expected monetary value of each of the paths, and the one with most net path value will be chosen. Decision tree has 3 types of nodes. Decision node represents a decision, shown with a rectangle. Decision is written inside this rectangle. Chance node represents uncertainty associated with this decision. Could lead to a payoff or cost, shown with a circle. End node, end of path, shown with a triangle. Document analysis. Document analysis: analyze the documents in order to get relevant information needed for decision making. Earned value analysis, EVA. Earned value analysis is a technique using three main project constraints: scope, schedule, and cost, to have a single measure of project performance. In the context of earned value management, the combination of approved scope, schedule, and cost to give a measure of project progress is called as Performance Measurement Baseline, PMB. Influence diagrams. Influence diagrams are plotted to show relationship between variables involved in decision-making process, in the context of uncertainty that is inherent. Influence diagram uses shapes to show area of uncertainty: oval, decisions or choices; rectangle, desired outcome; octagonal, and influences between them. This technique is used in perform quantitative risk analysis process. Risks developed from uncertainties in the project and influence diagram help you take better decisions in the face of uncertainty. Understanding this will give you insights into decision-making process because you now understand which variables impact more the overall outcome of decision. For complex scenarios, once the influence diagram is created, it can be evaluated using simulation technique such as Monte Carlo analysis to indicate the elements that have highest influence on outcome. Iteration burndown chart. This is primarily used in agile projects as a means of visually measuring project progress, by looking at how much work still remains to be completed in the iteration. Burndown indicates remaining work effort. By the way, this could be remaining story points as well, but that's for another agile discussion. Make or buy analysis. This is a technique used in planned procurement management process to decide which aspects of the project should be outsourced and which should be made in-house. This is typically used in conjunction with cost-benefit analysis for making objective decisions. Performance reviews. Technique by looking at performance figures and compare it against expectations, as in the case of schedule performance compared against schedule baseline in control schedule process. In this case, some of the parameters you look at are start and end date of activities, % complete, and remaining duration for activities in progress. Process analysis. Similar to document analysis, process analysis is all about analyzing a quality process to identify scope for improvements, examine existing problems and constraints for smooth running of the process, identify non-value-adding activities that are draining resources without any benefits. The only process that uses this technique is manage quality. Proposal evaluation. The proposal evaluation techniques refer to the process of reviewing the proposals given by the suppliers to support the contract award decisions of the buyer and the project team. The proposal evaluation techniques are one of the tools of conduct procurements, which is a process of obtaining the responses from the seller, including its selection and awarding of the contract. Regression analysis. The regression analysis is a technique that involves examining the series of input variables in relations to the corresponding output results. This particular project management technique is used in establishing the statistical relationship between two variables. It is used to determine whether one variable, the independent variable, is used to predict the dependent variable. In regression analysis, the stronger the relationship is between the two variables, the greater the accuracy in predicting their relationship. Project managers can easily see the relationship between two variables by using a simple linear formula and plotting the results on a chart. Reserve analysis. Bach describes reserve analysis as an analytical technique to determine the essential features and relationships of components in the project management plan to establish a reserve for the scheduled duration, budget, estimated cost, or funds for a project. There's really two parts that you need to know about reserves, and those are contingency and management reserves. Contingency reserves are for known unknowns. These are the negative risks that you plan for on a project. Management reserves are for unknowns. These are the risks you don't plan for, and management gets to decide if and when these reserves are released. Risk data quality assessment. The risk data quality assessment is a project management technique that is used to evaluate the level or degree to which data about risks is necessary for risk management. This technique also involves analyzing the dress which the risk is understood. It also looks into the accuracy, reliability, quality, and integrity of the data concerning the risk. Risk probability and impact assessment. Risk probability is the determination of the likelihood of a risk occurring. This likelihood can be based on historical project information. Impact assessment is the evaluation of the impact of a risk if it were to occur. If the risk were to occur, would it be catastrophic to the project or a minor inconvenience? An impact assessment is generally conducted in meetings or in interviews with individuals who have the appropriate knowledge to evaluate the impact of a risk. Root cause analysis. Root cause analysis, RCA, is a tool used to identify the source of a problem and find a solution that prevents the problem from returning. Particularly for a complicated, stubborn, or unfamiliar problem, it can help isolate what happened, when, where, and why. Fishbone diagram. The fishbone diagram is also known as the cause and effect diagram, sometimes referred to as the Ishikawa diagram. This diagram is one of the most common and effective ways to do root cause analysis. It is used to display different characteristics of the problem you're facing in a clear and approachable way. Sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis in project management, also known as a risk and sensitivity analysis in project management, is a method for modeling risk in any given assignment. Project sensitivity looks at the big picture to see what, out of all the elements involved, could potentially prevent you from achieving your goal or goals. It also ranks these threats by order of importance from most to least impactful. Then, it's up to you and your team to prevent these issues from either coming up or derailing progress. Simulation techniques. Simulation techniques consist in sampling the input and characterizing the uncertainty of the corresponding output. This is notably the case of the crude Monte Carlo method that is well suited to characterize events whose associated probabilities are not too low with respect to the simulation budget. Stakeholder analysis. A stakeholder analysis is a process of identifying these people before the project begins, grouping them according to their levels of participation, interest, and influence in the project, and determining how best to involve and communicate each of these stakeholder groups throughout. SWOT analysis. An analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of an organization, project, or option. Strengths and weaknesses relate to your particular company, the internal factors that positively or negatively affect your positioning. Opportunities and threats relate to the industry and environment, the external factors that impact your company. Technical performance analysis. A data analysis technique used in risk processes to compare technical accomplishments during project execution to the schedule of technical achievement. Trend analysis. Trend analysis is the widespread practice of collecting information and attempting to spot a pattern. In some fields of study, the term has more formally defined meanings. Although trend analysis is often used to predict future events, it could be used to estimate uncertain events in the past. Variance analysis. Variance analysis is the quantitative investigation of the difference between actual and planned behavior. This technique is used for determining the cause and degree of difference between the baseline and actual performance and to maintain control over a project. Cost and schedule variances are the most frequently analyzed measurements. What-if scenario analysis. What-if analysis is used to explore and compare various plan and schedule alternatives based on changing conditions. It can be applied in the primary project phases to try out scenarios and optimize your plan. During execution, it is an important tool used to predict the consequence of any event. Great job! Keep moving forward. See you in our next videos.